ladies! I'm Samantha Jacobs. I'm a licensed acupuncturist located in Richfield, Connecticut, and I am back for another video on the fertility journey. My previous video, it was all about the woman who is on the fertility journey, who has been experiencing layers to her fertility case. So if you're wondering a little bit more about that, you're going to go back one video and watch. I had spoke about at the end of that video about empowering women on this journey. And today's video is empowerment around picking a clinic. I can't emphasize enough when you are at this point and you are looking to go into Western medicine and you are seeking a reproductive endocrinologist, which the short term is RE, at an IVF clinic. I'm going to be suggesting some steps for you that I hope will empower your journey in picking the right clinic for you. So let me take you through some steps and some information about how you can feel empowered when you're going to pick a clinic. The first step. Generally, that's going to be your referral source. More than likely, it's going to be an OB, a GP, a referral from somebody within the holistic industry, like myself, an acupuncturist, or a friend or family member. One of the trends I have noticed recently in the last couple of years, companies, corporations are coming in and purchasing practices and hospitals. And what I've found out is when doctors sell their practices and join these corporations, these medical corporations, they're often required by contract to only referral within the corporation network. Now, this could potentially be a problem because then you're not getting a referral because it's a referral that suits your needs, your journey, your fertility. You're actually getting a referral so that you're kept within the network. You can always ask, does this referral suit my fertility case, my fertility issues? Is this doctor specializing in what's going on? And this is in particular really important for the woman with the multi-layers. It's going to probably require a doctor who wants to think out of the box, and not all doctors and clinics are going to do that. So remember to ask, is this referral suited to my needs? When I'm referring clients to a doctor, I actually refer my clients to two great doctors that I think choice is really good. Obviously, I have a working rapport with both of these doctors, so I can explain why I think one doctor may suit a client better than the other. And I always tell my clients, if there's somebody else you want to see or you've heard about, you go, you explore. When you're getting a referral source from somebody within your treatment team, I would hope that they're giving you options, and that if you pick somebody out of their options, that you're not getting sort of any feedback from that. The other referral source I see my clients getting doctor names from is obviously family and friends. One problem I see in this scenario is, so your aunt, your cousin, your best friend, your next door neighbor's daughter, they went and saw this doctor and they did one IUI and they got pregnant. Amazing person, amazing. Betty Sue had the most difficult case in the whole wide world, and she went to that doctor and he was the miracle worker. Hearing these stories, keep in mind you'll want to know how similar are you to the person that had the success or is raving about that particular doctor. It could be that your case, actually your fertility case, has very little to do with that other person, and actually that clinic may not be a good source for you. So keep in mind to ask those questions, like, okay, well, what was going on with Betty Sue that made it so difficult? See if there's any similarities in your scenario. Explore that a little bit, and that will give you information if this may be a potentially good beginning point for you. You've probably picked a clinic. You have made an appointment, an initial appointment to meet with the doctor. I recommend to my clients, when you have that very first visit, don't get bamboozled by the beautiful lobby, the fancy furniture, and the high-end art. Some clinics are actually quite mediocre, but they're really smart in the way they market their, what I would say, a facade. So when you're going in, right, and it's all, you know, chrome and glass and waterfall in the lobby, and beautiful art hanging around, keep in mind that's not a really good representation of what a good clinic is. There are clinics that are really awesome and their lobby is completely boring. Please don't judge a clinic by their facade. Now we're at the place where you are meeting the doctor for the very first time. When you enter the clinic, I'm going to have you start observing what it's like from the front desk to meeting the doctor. How is the staff? Are they friendly? Are they organized? Do you feel that they're rushed, that they're abrupt? This is the point that's really informative. It's already stressful enough to go and have that initial visit with the doctor. IVF is incredibly even more stressful, and it requires a lot of visits at a doctor's office. We as women need to feel comfortable in the dynamic we're in, because we're taking all the monitoring. We're the ones who are going for the blood work and the pelvic ultrasounds. These are the people in the office that we're going to be interacting with. If you're doing IVF, it feels like almost day to day you're in that office. So observe, how do I feel with the staff? Am I comfortable? When you finally get to the point to meet the doctor face to face, before you go in, I want you to write down lots of questions. And I'm going to give you some. We're going to go over that in a moment. But I cannot emphasize enough, physically, in your hand, piece of paper or on your phone, have the questions written out. Right? How many of us are guilty? Like, we can think about it in our brain, and then when we finally have that interaction, the information is gone. There's nothing worse than like 3 miles down the road after the initial meetup is finished, and you're like, oh damn, I forgot to ask that question. So once again, I'm going to have you pay attention. How do I feel with this doctor? Pay attention to how your body feels. So generally women hold stress in their chest, the middle of their chests. You know, obviously this is not an easy, you know, initial exam. This is nothing fun. But does this doctor allow you to feel more at ease? Do you feel like you're in partnership with this doctor? Can you have rapport with this doctor? As you're asking your questions, are they open to answering them? Can you see that they would be willing to brainstorm if glitches happen? Can they think around your scenario to give you the best outcome? Pay attention to the information that you're given, and in particular, pay attention to your body. because this is the person, this doctor is going to be the person that is going to be with you through most of this. This is your touchstone. So it's really important to be at ease with them. This is the point where the questions play a big key when you're a woman with the multi-layered case going on. I'm going to just give a rough example to help you potentially think of questions that might be important. So I'll give examples and then you can see what fits for you, what kind of questions it brings up for you that you can ask when you go and meet with the doctor. So looking at a 39-year-old woman, high FSH, slightly elevated. 10 would be, anything over 10 is considered abnormal. FSH would say be around 14. AMH is slightly low. What is the percentage of clients that you treat that fall into my fertility case scenario? What kind of drug protocol would you use on me? What would be the names of the drugs? What would be the doses? Roughly, what would be the idea of the timing of drugs on the protocol? How will this protocol provide me with the most amount of eggs? What would be a rough estimate of the amount of eggs that I could make on this protocol? Is this protocol maximizing the amount of eggs I make without diminishing the quality of the eggs? Potentially, how many embryos would be made during this IVF cycle? So these questions give you a very specific idea of, is the doctor accustomed to treating your type of fertility scenario? Then it's giving you information about what that potential protocol would be and what would be the outcome. Why do you want to know drug names and dosages? Because if you decide to go to another clinic, you're going to ask them the same exact questions and you're going to get an idea of how clinics are going to treat you differently and why. And then if that's the step you want to take, you can investigate, you can try to see what the research shows. So having all those specifics really give you an opportunity to figure out how to pick the clinic that's going to work best for you. The last case that I'll give you is a 42-year-old woman with FSH of 20, low AMH. Once again, really crucial. How many clients do you treat that's in my scenario? Because this is actually becoming more and more of a specialization, and not, like I say, not all clinics will take this type of woman. So as that woman, once again, do you specialize in my age and in my scenario? How many women have you treated in my scenario? What would be the protocol? What would be the drugs and the dosages? Really key. Do you think I'll need more than one IVF cycle? How many cycles do you think I will need? Should I do genetic testing or just a fresh embryo transfer? If you visit with a doctor and it just doesn't come together, location too far away, don't like the staff, don't like the doctor, don't feel comfortable, whatever that scenario is, it's okay to have a second, third, even a fourth opinion. Keep looking until you find a place that fits the dynamic that you want. There's absolutely no reason that you get one referral and that is the referral that you need to take. When you're on your initial visit with the doctor, remember to ask about their laboratories. Now, what are IVF laboratories? This is where all the magic happens. That's where your eggs, hubby's sperm, go. It's where the fertilization occurs and where the embryo is nurtured. Lots of things play into this. So the solutions that they use nurture and maintain the fertility and the vitality of the sperm and the egg, and then once fertilization has happened, it maintains and nurtures that little embryo to keep growing. There's a lot of factors going into air quality, temperature control. It's monitoring. There are staff members, obviously, they're constantly monitoring what's going on with your egg, sperm, embryo. It's the place where your embryo is going to be frozen if you're going for genetic testing. It's the place where they get the embryo ready for transfer. And that is the place where it's got to have, their laboratories have to have the ability to give you the best support so that your DNA, his DNA, is all coming together and being nurtured and taken care of so that you can get the best embryo to go to transfer. So you'll want to know, how new is the equipment? How is the air quality monitored? How's the temperature monitored? How long has the staff been working in the industry? So this is where the magic happens, and it's interesting to ask about what's going on within the laboratories so that you can understand what's going on with a clinic. The next part is a more sticky topic. I'm going to give you a little bit of the lowdown around it, and then when you're meeting with the doctor, you can ask questions and you can figure out how much you want to put weight into this portion, and how much it really won't matter. A lot of clinics publish information about how many women are getting pregnant during IUIs and IVFs within that clinic. And they publish that information so that you can look and see how many women got pregnant at A, B, and C clinic in an IVF cycle last year. It's giving you information about their success, but there's a lot of debate within the industry, and I even see it with what's going on in my practice. How useful is that information? It may not actually be very useful at all. Here's the scoop. There are clinics that have really great statistical information success rate on their IVF cycles. They can say 60% of all their clients who do IVF in 2017 conceived a baby, had a baby. And then you can go to another clinic and they'll say, well, 40% of their clients got pregnant during IVF. So who would you want to pick? Well, you want to pick, right, the one with the best success rate. The problem is that you have to dig through the numbers, and I'm going to tell you, I've even found it confusing. I've tried digging through some of the numbers on these clinics, and it's just overwhelming. But what's hidden within that statistical information is that some of these clinics don't want hard cases. They don't want the women who will lower their statistical rate. So, and this is part of the process of picking a clinic. That's why I'm saying you need to find a clinic that's going to meet your fertility needs. So when you're meeting with the doctor, you can ask, like, all right, what is your statistical rate of success? And let's say it's really high. Well, does that represent my case, my age, what's going on in my fertility? Is that client represented in those numbers? And you can go, if the clinic is like, well, it's a lower statistical rate, you can ask, why? Why are your rates so low? Is it because you take hard cases like me? Is it because your laboratories aren't good enough? You can pick their brain about what's going on within those numbers. So I've gotten to the point where I actually don't pay attention to statistical information. To me, it's more about, can the doctor actually make this succeed for me, rather than do they make it succeed for everybody else. But this is personal decision, and now you have a little information around it that you can ask more questions around it. If insurance does not play into your case, yeah, can cut me off here, because I'm going to go into a little bit about insurance within IVF clinics. Once again, cannot emphasize enough, please know your insurance benefits. When you start to go into the process of Western medicine, you'll be able to make decisions with the doctor about how to maximize your insurance benefit. You'll want to understand what the procedures cost, what the insurance will pay, what are going to be the best decisions financially for your fertility, so that you out there can make really good decisions about how your insurance is going to be used as you go through the IVF process. So as you're going through the treatment process, keep weighing, is this the best way to maximize the dollar amount of my benefit? Because if I'm not pregnant by the end, what's going to be my out-of-pocket expenses? So I'm not allowed to discuss cases that happen in my practice. This is sort of a made-up scenario. Client, slightly older, 39, high FSH of 15. So in the state of Connecticut, she's allowed 2 IVF cycles in a lifetime. And an IVF cycle does not necessarily mean a full, complete IVF cycle. It actually is also considered a frozen embryo transfer. The clinic did the first round of IVF, and in the end she had 1 frozen embryo that was genetically tested and passed. When the embryo passed the genetic testing, the clinic recommended that she do a frozen embryo transfer. Now, in the state of Connecticut, an IVF cycle is about $15,000, and then the genetic testing is roughly another $4,000 on top of it. So you're roughly looking at $20,000. A frozen embryo transfer will roughly run about $5,000. The client discussed with the clinic if she should do another round of IVF, and they felt that this embryo would transfer and take, and they encouraged her to go ahead with the frozen embryo transfer, and it did not take. That client, she wanted to try IVF again. I mean, that's a huge financial burden, where a frozen embryo transfer would have just been $5,000 out of pocket, and the client could have banked, even if it was just one more embryo, she would have had at least another shot at doing a frozen embryo transfer. What I can impart is, like, keep in mind, is the treatment suggestion and my benefits, well, am I maximizing what is going on? You'll want to weigh those components and figure out, how do you maximize your benefit the best way? It's really tough stuff. It's, at this point, after I've spoken about everything, it makes me realize, you ladies are really a brave bunch of souls, because it's such a hard thing. And I think if you're not if you haven't been on this journey, and I'm in the business, people don't understand how hard it is. And so God bless you guys. You ladies are an amazing bunch. You're very, very driven and brave. If you have any questions, any suggestions, ideas, please reach out to me. I appreciate you listening. And the next time you come back, we're going to be talking about time. And that will be our next topic. So have a great one, ladies. Bye.